Today, the president heard recommendations from his Jobs and Competitiveness Council, but did he hear anything new? Among the recommendations are easier access to government-backed loans for small businesses. Wouldn't that put even more taxpayer money, your money, at risk? Here now, Utah Republican Senator Mike Lee. Senator Lee, it's a pleasure as always. Welcome back to Freedom Watch.
Thank you.
I really chuckle over these big business folks that are pro-big business but also pro-big government. Do they really understand the free market? Do they believe in the free market, or do they just want the government to help them?
Anytime someone is focusing on stimulating the economy through these Obama stimulus package-like programs, they don't understand the free market. They don't understand that the government can't create jobs. Only private investors can create jobs, the kinds of jobs that last. And these won't do the job. If we want more jobs in this country, what we need to focus on are things like the fact that we've got the highest corporate income tax rate in the world, like the fact that we have hundreds of thousands of pages of regulatory compliance problems that we put on American businesses every year. Those things kill jobs. We've got to work on chipping away at those. That will create jobs.
You are making a very articulate argument, Senator, for the government getting out of the way. Let the private investor and the worker keep more of their earnings. Reduce the regulatory burden on the investor and the consumer and the worker. That's not what this Competitiveness Council wants. Jeff Immelt, who runs General Electric, and those other folks, they like big government as long as big government gives them business. Their suggestion today was more government-backed loans. So the good people in Utah, who you represent, who may be hardworking, would have their tax dollars at risk for some guy borrowing from the government that doesn't know how to run a business.
That's right. This is the problem with big government. Big government promotes only more big government, and sometimes with it, big business. That's why sometimes you have people in government wanting to expand it who will say, look, we've got private sector buy-in, and then they'll point to one or two very large corporations who are all in favor of it, until you read the fine print and you realize those are the same people who will be benefiting from it. Look, any program that marches us towards socialism always benefits someone. But that someone is always a small segment of society.
The president's numbers are very bad. This was supposed to be the summer of recovery, and it's not going to be that way. 1 in 10 adult Americans is looking for a job. 1 in 7 Americans of any age is on food stamps. Half the country pays taxes to support the other half. The other half doesn't pay taxes at all. Is President Obama, who now wants to borrow $2.4 trillion, $600 billion alone in the month of August, running out of options, Senator Lee?
Yes, I think he is running out of options because, as you point out, we've thrown trillions and trillions of dollars at a huge problem. And I have to ask my fellow Utahns and I ask my fellow Americans, how is that working out for us? After we've thrown trillions of dollars of borrowed money, much of which has been borrowed from China, we've thrown trillions of dollars at that program, at this program or that one. How is that helping us? Has this solved our economic crisis? I don't think so. And I think most Americans on the ground understand that what we really need is job growth. But job growth won't occur until you get government out of the way and you leave government within its proper sphere.
Senator Lee, you began your career in the Senate by challenging a longtime establishment Republican senator from Utah, and you beat him in the primaries, and you went on to win in the general. Your colleague, Congressman Jason Chaffetz, whose views are similar to yours and who's also from Utah, may be challenging your colleague, Orrin Hatch, a longtime serving establishment Republican. What side will Senator Mike Lee be on when the rubber hits the road in that primary?
Well, look, both of these men are good personal friends of mine. I work with Senator Hatch every day, and I know Jason Chaffetz very well and have for years. I wish both of them well. The fact is, at this point, Senator Hatch does not, as of this moment, have a primary challenger, and there's no reason for me to speculate on that. But in any event, I plan to stay about my business in the Senate and not get involved in that race. That's for the voters of Utah to decide.
Is the Republican Party going through yet another Barry Goldwater versus Nelson Rockefeller, George H.W. Bush versus Ronald Reagan type of ideological battle for the heart and soul of Republicans?
Perhaps, but I would describe it as less of a battle and more of a coalescing behind a particular set of ideas. The same set of ideas that really created our country in the first place a couple of centuries ago. The idea that government works best when it understands its boundaries. Individual freedom and liberty are best preserved when government is kept in check, when it doesn't have an unlimited pool of money from which to draw, and when it understands that it has just a few basic jobs to do.
Senator Mike Lee, it's a pleasure. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Judge.
The biggest